Good afternoon. It's once again 5:30 on a Friday that, my goodness, this week has zipped away. And I guess one of the reasons that it zipped so fast is because we've got this great week coming up next week where an awful lot of decisions are going to be made across the length and breadth of the United States of America, and people are going to be making all kind of decisions about all kind of things. You know, for some of us, it feels kind of like just before Christmas, and that is because you're looking and expecting Santa Claus to bring you certain kinds of gifts, and I think people are looking for decisions to be made. And depending on what your philosophy is, what your thoughts are, and how you feel, you will have all of those opportunities. I'm kind of excited because a gentleman just left my office whose family is well known. The son of Marcus Garvey just left my office. And some of you, especially those of you who are historians, you know who Marcus Garvey was, and you might know his son, Dr. Julius Garvey, who was in my office and may still be there because he and the group that he's with are going to come and have dinner with us in a few minutes. And we're not going to be very far from here. We're going to be at the upper room at the Zion City Church. And I'm excited because they always have good food whenever I go there. And I can expect to enjoy a very delicious meal. So we're excited. But I'm also excited because in the United States of America, there are 435 congressional seats that are up for election, and people are going to be deciding whether individuals like myself have a new contract or not. You know, I don't talk partisan politics on this show. I talk issues from time to time, but of course I don't control what you, the viewers, talk about. And given that this is a political season, and really it's important, I know that there are many people who probably will not vote. I am always amazed when we have an election and only 30% or 20% or 25% of the people vote. And I can't figure out what the other people are thinking of. If you think you have an answer as to why oftentimes less than half the citizens in our country do not vote in an election, would you please call and let us know why you think that less than half the people who are eligible to be registered and to vote on Tuesday will not do so? And so anybody that can give me the answer to that, I will bring you a gold crown next week. Or if you can predict what the numbers are going to be, I will bring you a gift next week. If you can predict with accuracy the number of people, the percentage of the people who are registered to vote are going to actually do so. And so our phone lines are open, and we await to hear your prognosis or your answer. While we're waiting for the callers to start, let me just mention some of the things that are on the line. For some people, health care is going to be on the line. And health care in terms of whether you have the ability to receive the kind of health services that you deserve and need, or whether you will not. For some people, the amount of taxes that they pay will be on the line. Whether or not you are taxed fairly, or whether or not somebody else in a different category will get a different kind of taxation than what you'll get. In some instances, there are people whose businesses might flourish as a result of what it is, and there are others whose businesses may go out of business. And of course, anybody that's trying to reach me, they ought to know that I'm actually on television at this time, doing my regularly scheduled Friday evening television show that I do every Friday at 5:30. And of course, if you just called me, that means that I could not call you back. But I can tell you that Tuesday of next week is about as important a day as you will ever experience during your lifetime. Because if you live in the state of Illinois, you are going to get a chance to vote for individuals running for state representative in every state representative district that there is. You're going to get an opportunity to vote for about a third of the state senators in Illinois. You're going to get a chance to vote for who's going to be the governor, who's going to be the lieutenant governor, who's going to be the secretary of state, who's going to be the treasurer of the state of Illinois, who's going to be the state comptroller, who's going to be the United States congressman, who's going to be the president of the Cook County Board, who's going to be one of the 17 Cook County Board commissioners. And so you get a chance to do all of this voting. Call up and let me know what you think about it, and whether or not you've already done it, or whether or not you're going to do it. I won't even attempt to tell you who to vote for or which party to vote for, but I do admonish you to vote, because I'm afraid that if you do not vote, it means one of several things. It means one, perhaps you don't understand, or it may mean that you do understand and just won't do it. So we've got a caller on the line. We'll go right to our caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, Congressman, and it's a wonderful, great day to be alive. And the most important thing, it's a great day to vote Tuesday, die Wednesday, but be alive Tuesday so you can vote. Listen, you want to know why people don't vote? They trifling, they lazy. The only thing they want to do is procrastinate. They want to talk and don't even know what the heck they're talking about. They ain't doing themselves no good, so why don't they just go and join the service, go somewhere, help somebody, do something, because you ain't helping us. So I hope everyone who's listening Make this your day. You say Tuesday, let me get up and vote. If you don't know where to vote, call. They will tell you. Register right there. I think it's time still you can register. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you can same day vote.
So what we need to do, Congressman, let's get our baseball bats, get all our friends, and go beat some butts. Get out and vote. Now, I got a very important question to ask you. These elected officials, how do they become that? Let's get rid of them, and let's go back to the old days. Raise your hand, popularity vote. That's who wins.
Well, let me ask you, why do you think the popularity vote ought to be used and not the electoral vote?
Okay. Number one, why are they the one to choose? I don't even know who they are. I think they're not the ones that should govern each state. Let us know. Come on TV. Show your face. I don't know who you are. And how did you become that? Again, why should a handful of people decide what you're doing? Again, biblical times, they raised their hands. Why not count hands, count straws, count marbles, anything? But again, it seems like whatever, I really believe this is a twist in everything, even your clothing. What they did 100 years ago is coming back now, but it's just a little bit different. It's the same thing in voting, eating, anything you do in your life is a redundant. It's just over and over and over.
Now,
sometimes you got to change.
I understand that the electoral system was put in to try and protect minority states from feeling that they didn't have the power and influence that they deserved. And when I say minority states, I mean states with the least amount of population.
Well, listen, the sad thing about it, they still ain't voting. They still ain't going to the polls and vote. So what we need them for? Listen, we need to get some bat sticks. You know what Chuck Nuck and them is at. Go and get them. Get them out the streets. Get them out the corner. If you don't want to do right, you don't have no business on God's green earth. We need people. People need people. We need each other.
But let me ask you this.
We need you.
Do you think the people who don't vote, do you think they value democracy?
They don't know what democracy is. You don't have political science in schools no more. You don't have parents teaching kids anything anymore. How can you learn something if somebody don't teach you what to do? See, again, we live in different times than when we was younger.
So you would be in favor of adding to our public school curriculum some information or some discussion about the value of voting and how our government is supposed to work?
It did wonderful things to me when I was in school. You went to Springfield. You went to Washington. People don't even know where's Washington at unless they go on the west side and find Washington Street. They can point to Washington, D.C. So, again, people are not the same. Let's do something about it. I don't want to hog the show, but every Friday, I can't wait till you and Crystal come on. You are a thrill, enjoyment. It's so wonderful to have a man such as you to represent us, and not just represent. You could be anywhere, but yet still you down on CAN TV talking to us crazy people. We appreciate you. We love you. We always wait for you on Friday. Don't worry. God got something good for you. Let me get out there, Congressman, but let's eliminate that electoral and find out how do you put me on it.
All right.
You
Well,
know,
thank you.
I
Thank you so very much. And we'll go to our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am, Congressman, and I agree 150% with what Steve just said. I wait for you every Friday also. People that don't vote have no idea the blood that was shed from our ancestors and other people for their right to vote. They don't know their history, they don't respect it, and evidently they just don't care. They don't know who Marcus Garvey was. It's things like that we need to educate our children on, Congressman, so that they'll know you don't know where you're going to if you don't know where you came from. And we love you. I agree with Steve 100%. I have already voted. I always vote early.
All right.
You see
Well,
what's going on in Georgia, Florida. We have to vote. God bless you. Have a blessed weekend. You and your lovely wife.
thank you so very much. And one of the things that Garvey said is that a people without knowledge of its history is like a tree without roots. And so if a tree didn't have roots, I guess it would just be going in every direction. My father was fond of saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And so trying to find out what happened in the past. I was at an event the other day that the Illinois Association of Minorities in Government had, and I was so pleased because they had a very patriotic opening. They had the singing, well, they had the posting of the colors, then they had the singing of the national anthem, then they had the singing of the black national anthem, and to me it was just a thrill to see reenactment of our history, where we came from, so that we had a better understanding of where we might be going. Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Yes, congratulations, Congressman. And you are such a blessing for all of us, not just in Chicago and in Illinois, but all over the United States. When we were precinct captains and precinct workers, we took the whole community with us, knocking on doors, speaking with a smile, making provision for those who didn't have a way to the polling place. See that they got to the polling place. And guess what? Miss Griffin is doing this today. When I go and vote, early voting, I take the young people with me. I keep that smile on my face, encourage them how to properly dress, how to go down there, wherever we're going, to register and vote, and be sure when they finish to see if they can work during election time. And trust me, our young people have moved forward. We got to be better neighbors. We got to be a neighbor before we be a friend. And it don't have to take a friend to be a neighbor. Speaking and smiling. And you continue on doing your work and continue to be blessed because we love you here.
Well, thank you so very much, and I really appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I heard Oprah Winfrey talking about Reverend Otis Moss Sr., and of course his grandson is the pastor of Trinity Church here in Chicago. But his grandfather was supposed to have got up to go vote, put on his best suit and tie, and walked 6 miles to vote. And when he got there, supposedly the people told him he was in the wrong place and he had to go somewhere else. He walked another 6 miles, and when he got there, they told him he was in the wrong place. He had to go someplace else. And then he walked another 6 miles, and when he got there, they told him that he was too late to vote because the polls had closed. And so he had walked 18 miles. to vote that day, and he never got a chance to vote, and the next year he had died before the election, and so he never got the chance. But that is one of the most eloquent stories that I've heard about one's desire to vote and what they went through in order to vote. I grew up in Arkansas, and of course, my parents had to pay a poll tax when I was a little boy because they still had poll tax, and they had all white primaries and things like that in places in the South, and they would pay their $3. Well, let me tell you, $3 was what lots of people earned for working all day at that time in that place. And they would sacrifice and pay the $3 that it cost to vote. And a person would have chopped cotton all day to earn $3. Or they would have worked from sun up to sundown to earn $3. But they still thought it was valuable enough to make the sacrifice and pay the $3 so that they could vote. As a matter of fact, growing up, I really didn't know any black person who was elected to public office. There were none elected where I lived. And of course, I would enjoy reading about those who were elected, reading about people like Congressman William Dawson, reading about Congressman Diggs from Detroit. And I guess I really didn't think at that time that I would be one of those. But I do know that I enjoyed reading about them in the Jet magazines and reading about them in the Chicago Daily Defender that we might get our hands on, or the Pittsburgh Courier. And please, if you've got children, try and help them understand that even as they're growing up, that they can have a say, that they can have the opportunity. Grab our community newspapers. I'm looking at one right now, the Austin Voice, that's talking about a Reverend Lisa Brown who is running for mayor. I'm looking at the Chicago Crusader, which is about a number of our aldermen and the mayor. I'm looking at the Voice newspaper, who have a story about Dr. Thomas Huggett from the Lundell Christian Health Center, and he was named Family Physician of the Year. And so it's an interesting thing that you find in our local newspapers. I'm looking at another copy of the Austin Voice. Lovett students celebrate Halloween with pumpkin patch games and candy. You know, I've actually visited that school, and so I know a little bit about it. And I'm looking at a copy of the Austin Weekly, which talks about what's going on the west side in the Garfield Park area. And I see my wife's church on the front page of this copy of The Voice, the Carrie Tercentenary AME Church. And Sunday that this copy. Yes, I was. I got there. There I am having dinner with the group at the church, at the Character Centenary Church, with their presiding elder, with the bishop and the pastor, and my wife and I. And I'm going to take this home and cut this picture out and keep it. Hey, you know, you never know what you might see in one of these community newspapers if you read it. Well, let me thank all of our callers. Let me thank all of our viewers. Let me thank all of those who've already voted. And I want to thank all of those who are getting ready to vote. And, you know, voting is one of the most important jobs that a citizen has in a free and democratic society. It is also one of the most ardent responsibilities of citizenship. Not to vote is not to care. Not to vote is not to understand. Not to vote is to abdicate a part of your citizenship responsibility. Have a wonderful week. Vote your heart out on Tuesday, and we'll see you next Friday and discuss the outcomes of these midterm elections and the voting opportunities we've had. Until then, be good to yourself and better even to somebody else.